I'm going to have some sort of cue when I'm on. Is that right?
Yeah, that's all good.
Cool. I'll pop you.
Hi there, Pete Shevlin here, once again with CNLZ Live. Here on YouTube, we've got two amazing guests later on tonight. They're just going to play some great tunes. And also, Richard Latto, my partner in crime. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, Pete. Well, I say good. It's been a bit of a mixed week this week. I found out this week that myself and quite a few of our colleagues have been put on notice of potential redundancy, which is a bit of a shock. But we were relieved to hear that all of the senior managers and the senior staff that we work with are going to be protected from that. So that was the silver lining, I think, from that announcement that we were all hoping for. And we're all pleased. So it kind of made it a bit better, really.
Yeah. We always like to hear a bit of good news with the bad news.
Yeah, I think it's called the sandwich, isn't it? You know, you may get fired, lose your income, lose your house, lose your home, not feed the family, water stops coming out the taps, but all the senior people will be fine. That's an episode of The Office, isn't it? I'm sure that's in an episode of The Office.
Absolutely. Hey, Rich, tonight we've got a couple of good guests tonight, haven't we? We've got One-Eyed Man, and we've also got Naked Without It. Now, you know Naked Without It from your previous incarnation, don't you?
I do, yeah. I know Tony, and I've got a little surprise for Tony here, which he will recognise, and I'll have to show him in a moment once they've been properly introduced. And it's something that no one else has seen. I don't think anyone else has seen it other than Tony and myself and a few other colleagues and people that we know. So prepare to be amazed, Pete.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. But you've been scouring the old social media this week, and you've come up with a couple of gems. Who are you going to go with first?
Oh, I have. Well, they're both from the same person. This is a guy called Daryl McLean, and he's a genius. And I can't believe, the only thing that annoys me is I've only just discovered him. He's so good. What does he do? What makes him so good? Well, he takes television theme tunes and he reversions them. He sings them in different styles. So he can sing the Goodies theme tune in the style of James Taylor, which is a feat in itself. He can do Postman Pat in the style of Supertramp. He can even do Danger Mouse in the style of Pulp. But the one that I absolutely adore is the Only Fools and Horses theme tune in the style of Elton John. Have you got it queued up, Pete?
I've got it queued up, of course I have. Yeah, I'm right here. Is there anything else you want to say about this amazing this amazing chap?
I just don't think you're ever going to be able to listen to the theme tune traditionally again and not hear it in this light, because I think he's actually improved it, if that was possible.
All right, let's listen. Face he pulls at the end as well. It's absolutely hilarious.
He's really living and breathing it, isn't he? He's putting his heart and soul into it. Did you see that clip of Elton John actually singing? Wasn't it for that charity event on BBC One? And lots of people were taking the mick out of it, and they were redubbing because it was obviously been hastily recorded very, very quickly, and it didn't sound particularly brilliant, and people were taking the mick. Well, I think that guy is better than Elton John. It's a bit like the Elvis impersonators. After a while, you get so used to hearing Elvis impersonators, when you go back and listen to the real thing, you think, this isn't as good as the guy I heard down the pub last night. What's going on?
I'm sure that's what happened to a lot of Beatles cover bands and Rolling Stones cover bands as well. They just actually capture something that in the original you just don't quite hear.
Yeah, I like the Beatles, but they're not really the bootleg Beatles, are they? They're better.
What what's the next one you got there?
This is another one from Daryl because he's got such an extensive back catalogue. This, classic. This is 53 seconds. You might not want to play it all because it might just be too much for some people. This is Daryl doing his version of the theme tune from Minder, which is obviously sung by Dennis Waterman, who's contractually obliged to sing the theme tune to anything he's actually starring in as an actor. This is him singing the Minder theme tune in the style of the Bee Gees.
All right, let's hear it.
If you want to help change the situation, right people, right time, just the wrong location. I've got a good idea, just you keep me. I'd be so good for, I could be so good for you. Treat me like you want me to. I'd do anything for you. I'd be so good for you.
Love it, Rich. And remind us again of his name.
His name is Daryl McLean, and if you like them, check out John Lennon sings the Generation Game theme tune from the Bruce Forsyth reboot era. Lou Reed sings Going Straight. Harry Nilsson sings the theme tune to Big Break, and the all-time favourite, Johnny Cash, sings the theme from Al Wiedersehen Pet. Daryl McLean, check him out on YouTube, he's brilliant.
We certainly will. Well, without further ado, let's flip to our Zoom view here, and we've got an eclectic kind of mix of very talented musicians. Stuart Hutton, otherwise known as One-Eyed Man, how are you tonight?
I'm all good, thank you. Sorry, I just take myself off mute.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
very
How
well,
was your
thank
day
you.
been?
Thanks for having me.
Right, it's a pleasure. You're a very talented musician, and also Naked Without It. We've got two very special musicians in the top left corner there. We've got Tony and Martin. Hello, Tony and Martin.
Hello. Hey, Pete.
Hello. So, Rich, do you want to do this very special surprise right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, you've built this up to something that it isn't, because this isn't going to be so much of a surprise from Tony, other than he's going to say, come on, you need to send this back to me. But this...
Yeah, I've seen this.
This is a very special film can, which Tony lent to me, which used to belong to your dad, didn't it, Tony? Morris.
Did indeed, yep, from a long way back, yeah.
This was a pilot on 16mm film of an episode of Wurzel Gummidge, and it was the last time that John Pertwee and Una Stubbs actually performed as Wurzel and Aunt Sally together before John sadly passed away. And your dad was trying to make an animated series of Wurzel Gummidge with John Pertwee, and they got that close. They had deals set in place, but then obviously John passed on. This is coming back to you, Tony.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he had deals set up and everything running, and then unfortunately the star was no more. So yeah, didn't help at the time, but there you go. But it's nice that Richard's actually doing something with it, and hopefully it'll finally end up on a Blu-ray in a while. So we'll see. Cool.
And is Wurzel Gummidge a major part of your life, Tony?
For me, no, not particularly, to be honest. My dad was mostly in animation before. More, I reckon, cooler. He did the Osmonds and the Jackson 5 cartoons back in the 70s, and he did some Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry and things like that. So he did more of the animation, but at the end he got into the plasticine stuff, which was the Wurzel Gummidge.
And weren't the Tom and Jerry ones, Tony, they were a bit odd, weren't they? Because the Tom and Jerry characters actually spoke in those versions that your dad did.
Yeah, they were the talky ones, and they were sort of like the dumbed down American ones where they weren't allowed to hurt each other either. They were friends. How can you have
Tom and Jerry without having a fight?
Well, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, there you go. Cracker.
Brilliant. So Stuart, we'll come to you first for a tune if we could.
Say again, sorry?
Could we come to you for a tune? Or were we going... Which way were we going? I've forgotten which way did we say. We said
let's go to Stuart first.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll kick him off. I figured I'm not going to do anything too loud because I'm in my flat and it's I've got neighbours. So and it's raining, so I thought I'd do a pretty chill song, one that was on my first EP, which I released a few months ago. It's called The Morning Song.
And can you tell us how you wrote it, how you kind of composed it? Was there anything that was going through your head at the time?
Yeah, so the song's about. I'm a bit of a nature geek, right? So the song's about pretty much just getting away from the city and from working 9 to 5 life, getting into the countryside and really listening to what the world actually sounds like. So it's kind of like the symphony of the earth kind of vibe that's going on.
Awesome.
If you don't, a direct idea is basically when you wake up camping and you're in the middle of nowhere and you're probably slightly hungover and you don't want to listen to kind of house music anymore. So it's relaxing folk music to kind of tide you over while you're suffering in that morning.
It sounds beautiful. I love that feeling of waking up in a tent. It's just awesome. Like, you know, and really being very close to nature. I'm looking forward to hopefully camping next weekend. So fingers crossed it's a little bit like that.
Now's the time, mate. Now's the time.
Yeah. All right, take it away.
Cool.
Can you see how the morning glows? Sun will rise and the cock will crow, and the rhythm begins. And the rhythm begins. Can you hear how the mountain calls in harmony with the ocean roar, and the rhythm and the rhythm and the roaring of the ocean and the wind caught send shivers down my spine and a ripple through my skin. Well, I guess all of us are open to the sound of it. And all we had to do whisper breeze through the winter pine, crackle and spit over open fire. There's no rhythm, and the rhythm and the roaring of the ocean and the wind caught send shivers down my spine, ripple through my skin. Well, I guess that all of us are open to the sound of it. And all we had to do, all we had to do was listen. Oh, send shivers down my spine, a ripple through my skin. Well, I guess all of us out to the sound in everything. And all we had to do, all we had to do was listen.
Fantastic, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff, Stuart. That was brilliant. Tell us, One-Eyed Man, where did the name come from and what was it all about? What's the backstory to that?
Right, well, I mean, the whole mantra behind it is a lot of that same vibe. It's all about getting away from the city, right? But back in university, not a lot of my friends would listen to kind of folk music and relaxing stuff like that. It was all kind of drum and bass, hardcore, a bit more rocky, indie, that kind of stuff. And I was a bit tentative about showing my mates what I'd written. And at the same time that I was writing and recording music, then I got a pretty serious eye infection. I pretty much lost the eye, actually. So I was in hospital for over a month, and I was getting drugged up and stuff like that, and I lost all of the vision. And thankfully, all the nurses and everything brought it back, which was pretty fantastic. But I needed a way to kind of hide my music, which uploaded to iTunes from all my mates who were listening to all this other stuff. So I kind of came up with the alias at the same time, and then somebody else pointed out that the one-eyed man, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and that it kind of reflects the whole thing that I write music about, which is it's very melancholy, chill, relaxing beats, which is all about getting away from modern life, really. So yeah, it kind of fell into place.
It's nice. And did you ever let anyone into your circle of trust and say, look, here, this is my pseudonym, this is where I'm uploading my music, go and check it out? Who was allowed in to your world and who wasn't allowed in?
Absolutely no one was let in, really. I kind of let my brothers know a little bit, and my parents, obviously, because they would hear me every now and again, but I actually didn't tell anyone about it until a few years ago. I used to work in a bank in insurance, and I got sick of it. This is kind of how it all came about. And I went off to Australia, and I went travelling for 3 years. And in that time, I thought, well, I'm never going to see these people again. So, so I just give it a go now, and I started doing some open mic nights, and I got some good responses. And then again, I was struggling to find work, so I started busking on the streets. And then, well, long story short, within the 2 years, by the end of it, I was a full-time musician in Australia.
Certainly a time, though, when folk music became a lot cooler, wasn't there? In the last 10 years, it's changed dramatically. So people like Seth Lakeman, who are your contemporaries? Who do you like to be compared with? Who do you think's inspired you?
Ooh, compared with is a pretty difficult one, because I find that a lot of my songs sound like one of my heroes, which is I'm a massive fan of Ben Howard. I'd also say all of the older greats, people like Dylan, and then I've got inspirations from lots of people, really. Ed Sheeran was probably one of the first people that I emulated, that and along with Damien Rice, and then Bon Iver. So I'd probably say around about that kind of that area.
Well, they're all respectable names, aren't they? And thank you very much. That was a fantastic first track. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Yeah, enjoyed it as well. So we should move forward now.
Pete, you've got to unmute yourself. I can't hear you on here. I'm not very good at lip reading.
I've been having problems with these microphones all night. I'm sorry about that. And apologies for any sound that's been missing at the beginning as well, because I think that my microphone has been not playing what it should be playing. But anyway, we should go on to Martin and Tony. Naked Without It. There's another title that we should know the origins of. Can you tell us how you've come up with that?
I can't hear you, Richard.
So Martin and Tony.
The only person allowed to ask that question.
Yeah, only I'm allowed.
And we can't hear you anyway, so you go for it, Rich.
We've muted Pete against his will.
I'm just going to drink my wine and let Richard...
It's because he was pouring the wine and he's distracted himself, hasn't he? It's all right, you sit back and drink your wine, Pete. Tony, Martin... tell us all about Naked Without It. Where did it come from? And what are you going to play for us first?
Okay, Naked Without It comes from a Jane's Addiction song, which is called Jane Says, which we used to do years ago and we don't do anymore. And we just stole the name for Naked Without It from that. But as we said, we both originally used to play in electric bands, and then we went for the acoustic duo. Which was where we got Naked Without It, because we were naked without the bands basically behind us, covering my mistakes. So we had to come out into the open. You see.
Nice, good backstory. Okay, first track then.
First track we're going to do is called Lost Generation, which we were just saying is quite amusing down here. It's literally about kids missing out on things, and maybe not so much kids, because we played this at a gig one time, and it's about the fact that people are just always on their phones and missing out on the world. And then when we finished the song, we looked up and everybody was pointing their phones at us, so it just seemed a bit weird. Plus, while we've been doing this, while we were listening, and I think earlier on when your man was playing it was on, one of my daughters was texting me while we were coming on saying, "I can see you." So it's the way they work, isn't it? It's all on the telly.
It's the world we're now in. Great, take it away.
It is. Cool. Okay. Lost Generation. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'd be no mods or rockers or tribes for you. There'd be no books or paper to ruin your view. There'd be no movie tickets or 45s. There'd be none of that shit to ruin your lives. There'd be no TV set with a button to press. There'd be no radio with the song to guess. There'd be no telephone call when you don't know the name. There'd be no escapades, 'cause they'll all be the same. Look up and see the world. Lost generation, see the lost generation, see the world. Lost generation, see the lost generation. Got the world in your pocket with nothing to learn. There is no point going, you just got to return. There's nothing of interest outside of your room. You'll never get hit by a sonic boom. You see a monkey on the wall, flower beside one seat, fresh paint by the railway line. Tower block or the horror inside won't feel a sunburn. Go along for the ride. Look up and see the world. Lost generation, see the lost generation, see the world. Lost generation, see the lost generation. Today they think they know it all. Same as we did back when we were small. Made our mistakes, as I'm sure you will. Making out you got the truths to fill, but please look up, look away you go. You might see the girl, boy all alone. You might be the one that you're gonna regret. She might be the one you should have always let. Look up and see the world. Lost generation, see the lost generation, see the world. Lost generation, the lost generation.
Amazing. That was superb. How did you come up with the sound? How long did it take you guys to perfect the sound that you wanted when you first started playing together?
25 years. No, I don't know. We were just friends, and it seemed like a good idea at the time because we had the bands going. But bands get a bit political, don't they? And there's too many of them, and there's, your drummer don't turn up, or your bass player's sick, or something like that. So the two of us were always like dependable, and we knew what we were doing. So we just sort of started playing together, and then we had 23 years off, and then when we came back, it was exactly the same. So just with a bit grayer hair, and away we went. But yeah, that's what we did.
Well, it's a timeless sound. I really love it, I think. And as well, it's a bit of a crowd pleaser, that song, isn't it? It's like you must get them all going at that.
We try to. We always put on the bio, because if you put about an acoustic duo, we always put an upbeat acoustic duo, because we don't really do ballads, or we don't really do earnest. We've decided earlier on just now. There's a female duo called Sound of the Sirens, which I don't know if you've heard them. You should. They're really, really good, and we want to support them because they're very earnest and we're not, and we just think we'd be a brilliant foil to their earnestness.
Love it. I'll look it up. Sound of the Sirens.
Sound of the Sirens. They're very, very good. But
awesome.
Yeah, very good.
All right, well, this is the time in the show where we've started to do a little quiz. This is CNLZ Live. First of all, we started off with Service Station or Cheese, which was excellent. And then we went on to, what was it last week again, Rich?
IKEA or swear word, which I won, I believe. Not that I'm making a big
no
deal
need
out
to
of it.
gloat, man.
We'd have been good at that one.
But this week we've got something different, and it's basically, does it sink or does it float? And you two have come up with a little tune for us, so we can kind of edit this in later on.
Yeah. Sink or does it float?
Love it. That'll be edited into the YouTube video later. So I've got a host of things behind me here that will hopefully either sink or float. I've not even tested this out. I've got no idea whether they will sink or float. And if there it is, there's the bucket, and there's my hand. Hello. Now you guys won't be able to see that, so I'm going to tilt it down there. So can you just about see the bucket there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a bucket.
Yeah, you can see the yellow bucket. Okay, great. Now, the audience can see a much better yellow bucket. It's there for them to see on a different camera. So let's play the theme tune. Beautiful. The listeners are hearing some amazing cheesy music. Actually, seeing as you're there quite large on the old Zoom, Tony. Tony, do you want to go first?
Yeah, go on then. Okay, what am I doing?
All right, perfect. Okay, so right next to me here, the audience will be able to see what it is. It's a Calgon lime scale I don't know, washing up thing.
Dishwasher tablet.
Dishwasher tablet. It's not quite. It's an anti-lime scale tablet in a wrapper. What do you think there, Tony? Will it sink or float? It's in its wrapper. Yeah, I'm not going to take it out.
Out of its wrapper, you'd hope it does its job, but I'm going with float.
Float, because it's in the wrapper. Good, cool. Yeah, that's a floater.
Can't beat a floater.
I'll play the horn.
1-0, Rich, you're in trouble now.
Oh no, I've got to win. I've got to keep a record.
Rich, can you take a note of these?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have a pen and a paper there with you?
I do. Got a pen.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So Tony's got one right there. Okay, here we go. Here we go for the next one then, Tony. Now it's a can of ginger beer. Ginger beer. What do you think? Sink or float?
I'm going sink. Result.
That is actually floating.
Is it?
Yeah, unbelievably, it's kind
I'd never go
of
near
like floating from the bottom half of it. So there must be some air caught in the bottom. They haven't quite put enough ginger beer in there. So yeah, that's a
Stick
floater.
magazine there, it'll do as I told it to.
Chuck that over there. All right, this one should be easy. It's an apple. It's an apple there. Can you see the apple? Apple.
I can see the.
It's an
I think
apple.
everyone knows what an apple looks
Sink or
like.
float.
You're asking me. I'm guessing it's going to
this is still Tony.
This is still me.
Yeah.
It's still
How
me.
is it?
I'm going float. And if it floats, Richard has to bob for it.
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to do this one quicker. It's a potato. Sink or float.
You don't sink.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. You really know your
Rich,
stuff
you're in
here,
trouble now.
Tony.
Yeah. Gosh, that's...
Oh, and this is something that's not going to be useful anymore. It's an old CD, a Memorex CDR. Do you remember those? You used to like put all your band kind of information on one of those. It's a CDR, sink or float.
If it's Phil Collins, we'd hope it would sink, but it's probably not. So if you go for it on its side, I'm going float.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna just kind of put it. Yeah, it's a floater.
Wow, that's 4.
Gee.
All right. 4 out of 5. Okay, we got Martin next. What do you think about a parsnip? A parsnip.
Parsnip.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Float.
I'm gonna go float. Parsnip.
Float. Okay. Let's.
Could go either way.
Could go, couldn't it? Yeah, it looks good. It's a floater.
Brilliant. Well done.
Now this is a Knorr stock cube. Knorr stock cube. Sink or float?
I'm gonna go float.
All right. Oh,
In the wrapper, right?
Unbelievable. It's sunk.
Outrageous.
Sunk that one. What else do I have?
I'm distraught.
Put the electrical cable in, Pete.
A jar of honey. A jar of honey. What do you
Sink.
think? Sink.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a sinker.
Yeah, that's rude.
How many has Martin done there, Rich?
He's done 3 and he's got 2 right, so he needs to do
Another 2 more.
2 more. Yeah,
All right.
my maths is bad.
To match Tony.
Well, Tony did the ginger beer, but I do have a can of Zero Cola. So the ginger beer did float, but what about the Zero
I'm
Cola?
going to go sink for Zero Cola sink, as it should have done.
Right. It's the wrong answer. It's floating again. And one
more for
more
Martin.
for you, Martin. Could be
All or
quite easy.
nothing.
It's a paintbrush. It's just a paintbrush.
Paintbrush? Ooh. Well, see, the bottom half is probably going to stink, but the top half will probably keep it up. I'm going to go with float.
All right. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it is a floater. Nice one. Good job.
Hey, 3 out of 5.
Very
Second place
good.
to Tony, as always.
So,
Rich is in trouble now. Big scores.
well, I'm going to go to Stuart first. Are you ready for this? This is very taxing, actually, Stuart.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, first of all, we have a watermelon. Watermelon. Can you see this?
Oh, that's a toughie. I'd say float.
Yeah, you would have thought it's got a lot of water in it, right? But let's see what happens.
I would have thought it'd be a 1 with the basin.
Ooh.
Oh, it's bouncing up and down there. What's going to happen?
Oh,
I think you got it.
The floater.
Floater. It's at one with the water. And how about this one then? A can of beans. A can of beans. Actually, if you need to know, they're the original baked bean. They're not the low fat or low sugar. They're the original.
Oh, none of that cheap sinking stuff. I'll go with. Let's go with sink.
Sink. All right. Let's have a look. Yeah.
That was a solid sink.
That was a sink. That was a sinker. Liquid nails. Liquid nails. It sticks.
I mean,
it stick stuff.
Surely it's got a sink.
All right, let's give it a shot. Oh, it's a floater.
Magic nails.
And is it one more?
Two more.
Two
Stuart.
more. I'm going to run out of things.
You're trying to shaft me, Peter.
It's just a pencil. A pencil.
Float, hopefully. Wait, what type of pencil?
It does. It floats. And a carrot. Carrot. Sink or
it's
float?
Carrot. I thought something else sprung to mind then. It's got to float, surely.
All right, let's give it a shot.
They're always on the top of my soup.
Wow, would you believe it? It's sunk.
Oh!
So what was the
What did you say for that last one, Stuart? Did you go for sink or float?
I definitely went for sink.
Nah, he went for float.
Right.
And it's
You've got three. You've got three as well. So Tony's in the lead with 4.
All right, what can you do there, Rich? Can you beat this?
Well, I need to get a full house, which I did last week. But I don't think I'm going to get it this week.
All right, well, you've got the cheesy music. It's coming back in just for this, just for you. The first of all, what you've got is a bottle of olive oil, and it is, to make things more interesting, it's a plastic bottle of olive oil.
That's going to be heavy. Is there much air in the top of it?
750 millilitres. It's got a little bit of air in the top of it, I would say.
If it's got air in there, I reckon that's going to sink. It's going to be heavy.
All right. I'll put it in gently, yeah?
No. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's wrong, I'm afraid. It was a floater. All right. Next up is 50 refuge sacks from Asda.
That is going to sink. That is going to sink.
My goodness.
No, no.
I tell you what, that is so heavy. I really thought that was going to sink. Like, no doubt about it. That is a heavy. I would say.
I could tell you could barely lift
maybe
that with
2
one arm.
kgs. That is 2 kgs right there, and it.
How did that not sink?
I don't know how that floated. It must be the air pocket in the middle. I don't know. I don't know how that floats. Over there on the towel. Okay, 3 more to go. You're not doing so well here. Can you claim something back, Rich? This is a sweet potato. A sweet potato. What do you think?
That's going to be a float.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a go. Yeah, baby.
Oh, last.
Well.
A point.
It's a pen. It's a.
Oh, that'll float easily.
It's
Is that big?
super dry.
Oh, that'll float. Yeah, that's a floater.
Okay. Looks good.
Yeah.
Lastly, it's a banana.
That's going to sink. I think that's going to sink. I don't know.
Really?
Looking
Are
at
you
that,
sure?
I don't know. I've got this sinking feeling. I think that's going to sink.
All right. So I put it gently, gently going down.
Oh, it's a floater.
Sorry about that, mate. So
I've come last.
was that just 2 out of 5?
Not been my week this week.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. That was Sink or Float, another crazy quiz from CNLZ. Richard, what do you think about this week's quiz?
I enjoyed it, but I think Tony's probably enjoyed it the most because he got 4 out of 5, which deserves a round of applause. That's very impressive.
Just as well.
I know. Unbelievable.
Do you think that's the pure experience, Tony? You've done this many times. Do you take another bath?
As I said, I'd be keeping away from the Phil Collins CDs and the ginger beers as well. So pure guesswork.
Pure guesswork. Stuart, we have another song from you, right?
Yes, yeah. Shall I just crack on? What's the sketch?
I think you should tell us a little bit about the next song that you're gonna do for us. And I'll stop this cheesy music. There we go. So tell us. You were once in Australia with your, just finding your voice, finding your guitar, and then you came up with this song, right?
Well, you could say that. This is one of the most recent ones, actually. It's with both, to be honest. Like going away was definitely all about traveling and exploring nature and that, which is where my heart is, I think. But I wrote the song during lockdown, so it's got undertones of going on holiday. Basically, it's all about escapism.
And
so this song is...
Lockdown for you. Just tell us who you with there with lockdown. Like, what does it look like?
Oh, it's all right, actually. It's my missus, isn't it, in the other room. I've got, basically, when I got let go, I pretty much set all my speakers up and I borrowed a mic off a mate, and I've just been sat and recording and doing my best to kind of get back in touch with production over the last, 3 months? 3 months we've been in lockdown now, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
I think I've recorded... Well, I'm just about to release an acoustic album, and they're just kind of one takes. And then on top of that, I've done between 5 and 8 studio recordings. I say studio, living room recordings, which to be released. So, I mean, it's pretty much just been knuckling down and playing music all the time. I say knuckling down.
But you found it quite a creative time. You've obviously written this song.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. I think a lot of people found it quite creative, the amount of stuff that you see on the internet popping up. So yeah, I just pretty much my day was wake up, have coffee, play guitar, continue playing guitar, and then go to bed.
Awesome. Well, it's the only way to do it is to be really good at what you do, and it's it works for so many people, and that's you've really got to hone your talents, hone your skills, and just keep on doing it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's really not been that uncomfortable an experience for me, to be fair.
Well, it's good to know. Well, take it away. Let's hear it. Oh, and what's it called?
It's called Up Away. There's a chill in the breeze, there's a shiver in the sea, there's a cold in the looks I received since I returned to where I used to be. Oh, the days are short, the nights are long, and there's way less light than where I came from, and I don't know. I guess I kinda miss it all, as I'm so caught up in it all. And I'm losing no control. These walls don't feel like home anymore, but I guess I knew that all along. Yeah, I guess I knew that all along. I'm gonna fly away. Yeah, I'm gonna fly away from here. I think I'm gonna fly
been around, I've been up and down, I know. I see harm, I see doubt, I got the world on my shoulders. Will I go, will I leave? Heaven knows I've had my reasons to believe that something more. 'Cause I'm so caught up in it all, and I'm losing no control. This house don't feel like home anymore, but I guess I knew that all along. I'm gonna fly away, yeah, I'm gonna fly away from you. I think I'm gonna fly away, yeah, I'm gonna fly away from you, away from me, up away, up away, up. I'm gonna fly up away, up away, up. I'm gonna fly up away, up away, up. 'Cause I'm so caught up in it all, and I'm losing no control. This town don't feel like home anymore, but I guess I knew that all along. Yeah, I guess I knew that all along. All along.
Nice work, One-Eyed Man. Stuart, thank you very much indeed. That was great. So what are your hopes for the end of lockdown as things seem to be easing at the moment? What are your hopes, aspirations for the future? What do you want to get out and do?
Well, immediately, I wouldn't mind going to the pub. But in the long term, I think it's all about reopening the borders and going travelling again, to be honest. I think it's that's pretty much what that song's about. It's getting back out there and going and see the world while we still can.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people agreeing with you. Travelling, yeah, that sense of being able to just get out there after so long in confinement, effectively, for three and a bit months yet so far. But music-wise, what are you hoping to do? What are your aspirations with the music scene? Are you going to want to get out and get gigging again, or...?
Yeah, well, I released my EP right at the beginning of this lockdown, and I wasn't really sure what to expect with it. Like, the music that I write is not the most orthodox, and I wasn't sure if it would really resonate with anyone. But I don't know. It kind of got picked up online, and it's had a good response. So I've got picked up for a festival at the end of August, which is not Reading Festival, it's Wokingham Festival, but it's still small baby steps. And then I got another gig from someone who heard the EP, and he piped up and said, "Oh, do you want to support this other band coming up and play in the Rising Sun in Reading?" Is it the Rising Sun, or is it the other one? I can't remember, to be fair. It's so
you can find out online.
To be fair, when I heard about it and looking at the news at the time, I figured I'd just like leave it a little bit further back in my calendar and see whether it would actually happen or not. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But otherwise, in the meantime, like I say, it's been pretty productive while I've been in lockdown. So I'm just gonna keep on recording and get as many of these songs. It's pretty difficult to record while you're on the road anyway. So just get as many smashed out as possible, and then listen to them whilst I go travelling.
Yeah, it must be a good feeling to get as many new bits of material in the bank as possible, because then you can hit the road with it all. Great, Stuart, thank you.
And Stu, One-Eyed Man, tell us where we can...
You need to unmute yourself again, Pete. You've been, this happens whenever he drinks red wine, and he has been necking it like no tomorrow tonight. Have you unmuted yourself?
I have. The thing is that the listeners could hear me, but you guys couldn't. I've got too many buttons to press. But Stu, tell us, where can we find out more about you? Where should we go?
The best place to probably find out about me is Facebook. So, as you found out earlier, I'm just kind of both my names. So it's Stuart Hutton - One-Eyed Man. But actually, if you poke in One-Eyed Man, it usually pops up. So I think it's Stuart Hutton Music - One-Eyed Man. And otherwise, just type in Nordic Skies to Spotify with One-Eyed Man. I'm buried under tons of way more talented artists, but yeah, pop onto Spotify, or at a long shot, because it's a long name, is Instagram is @the1eyedman official. So
cool.
Yeah, that's probably the best way.
Well, I recommend that everybody out there does that. And going on to our last song from Naked Without It, what are you going to play for us?
We're going to do a song called Children Raising Children, which is, well, that's what it is really, children raising children. I was in a hairdresser's one day, and there was a little 3-year-old kicking off, and the parent controlling the 3-year-old was about 15, something like that. So it was just bizarre. But there we go. So really, it's just about people having kids too young sometimes. But there is a bit at the end which I got in trouble for at one point. Somebody bought the EP and said that's the song that has a go at teachers, and it's not. It's sarcasm about teachers. At the end, it says it's not your fault the teachers let them down, and that's because my wife works in the school, and she will completely back this up, that they love to blame the teachers for everything when it's just parenting half the time. So yeah, thanks to my lovely wife for that.
Absolutely, yeah. Never say a bad word about teachers. It's not a good move. It's almost as bad as criticising the NHS. All right, well, Tony Martin, take it away.
Children Raising Children. So yeah, this is Children Raising Children, and it's from our Wigram D EP, which we'll plug at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Days of called the midwife are long gone. Children live in poverty, surely that's all done. Adults only just beyond a child. Charge your life, a product of a youth gone wild. But sometimes I'm amazed at what I see. No control or care, how can this be? Sometimes I'm amazed at what I see. Children raising children, building a 220. Yep. Money that they give you is for food. Clothes and nappies, fruit and veg, not for you to choose. Feed your children, don't get new tattoos. Feed your kids, don't spend it all on fags, drugs, booze. Get off your ass and leave that TV screen. Take them out and show them something you have never seen. Get off your ass and leave that TV screen. Children raising children, Britain a 220. Yep. No ambition, wander your estates. Always someone there for you, feeding all the hate. You're not so bad, you're not as bad as them. You should see what they do, this is never gonna end. It's not your fault the teachers let them down. Down to someone else to turn them round. It's not your fault the teachers let them down. Children raising children, Britain a 220. Yep. There go.
Amazing. That's like a shot of adrenaline, isn't it, in the arm? That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Tony and Martin, Naked Without It. What has been the best gig that you've done where that's gone down an absolute storm and they've wanted you to play more and more?
We played the Old Swan in Chertsey, which is actually where we are tonight. We did a gig there. We have a different song called 21 Cents for Skins, and we thought we'd get clever, and we left. We have a point where we leave a gap for the audience to join in, and it was absolute silence when we left the gap. So that's on YouTube somewhere. So if you want to find that one on YouTube, it's brilliant. Nothing happens. So we'll learn from that, but we'll still leave the gap.
Live and learn, live and learn. Well, look, that was brilliant. If people want to hear more about Naked Without It, where's the best place for them to go? Where are you on the socials?
We are all over the socials, basically. That's the EP. This is a super 3-track EP, which lots of people have been buying, which has been nice.
Produced by George Schilling.
Produced by George Schilling, yeah, who is, it was down in Newton Abbot, fantastic bloke, did a really good job, but he's worked with Primal Scream. He was telling us tales fantastically about Steve Earle playing with the Pogues, about a Sisters of Mercy recording in the middle of the afternoon. It was
Yaz.
just fantastic. So, and Yaz, yes, he made his name producing Yaz. A fascinating, brilliant man. So check out George Schilling as well. But I couldn't exactly be a diva in the studio when he worked with Bobby Gillespie, could I? I asked him to do something. He's done Primal Scream. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the studio chaos with Primal Scream?
I imagine, though, once you've done an artist of that ilk, you can't really be any problematic person, can you? You know, you can't come through the door and demand more or be more troublesome and problematic.
What could you do? Who knows? You couldn't do anything better, could you? But no. We've gone off track. I need to plug the socials, don't I? So the EP is available on Bandcamp, which is www.nakedwithoutit.bandcamp.com. Facebook, you can find us as well under Naked Without It, naked-without it, or dash it. And on Instagram, we are NWI Band. So, find us on Bandcamp because you can listen to everything on there and buy the EP.
And come and say hi on socials.
Good.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was awesome. We've also had some people on YouTube just saying a few things. Lenny and the Llama Babies. Can we have an extended show next week for Float or Swim? So yeah, and
take my crown.
And Clemmy, my beautiful wife, she said, lovely song. I think that was you, Stuart. I think that was your last song that you played, so very well done. She loved that. Lenny and the Llama Babies also said, lovely song. And Jana Johansson also found on YouTube Stuart Hutton. So if we do a search on YouTube for Stuart Hutton, you do find yourself there as well. So thanks for all the
Naked Without It YouTube page as well.
What was that? Sorry, Tony?
There's also a Naked Without It YouTube page as well. So come and say hi on that.
Yeah.
Cool, we will, and we'll clip up your best bits as well as we do at the end of the program, and that will be shot off to the YouTube channel, so people can enjoy your tunes and float or swim at their leisure, any time of day or night they like. Thanks again for joining us. It's CNLZ Live on YouTube. We're here to support live acts, just like tonight's great acts. We've got to do it. We've got to also support those great institutions like the Royal Albert Hall that are just needing some funding. So any of your local venues, check them out. If they've got a little subscription or PayPal, give them a couple of quid. It's well worth keeping these live venues alive. It's well worth helping out these live acts as well. Usually they'd be gigging around the country, going to different festivals, going to pubs and clubs. Obviously, it's just not happening at the moment. So please support Naked Without It and One Eyed Man. They've got the thumbs up from us. Please join us next week. Richard Latto will be here. Thanks very much to him. And a couple of great new guests as well. So tune in.
That was great fun.
Thank you.
You're brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Cracking shirt, well done.
Thank you. You're right. You can just about see me there, can you? I'm sat all the way back here trying to look cool, and the screen's like this big. So if I come any closer, you can like see up my nose. That's better. Sorry about that. Weapon on.
That'd be great.
Yeah, lovely. We're in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Thanks so much for having me. Well, that's
Brilliant stuff. Thanks a lot from us as well. Cheers.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.
take care, guys. See you later.
See you.